Okay, so back to this. Let's finish up 4-5. So again, your calculus should be in radians, right? And your window should be standard, and then this should be plotted in there, correct? And so you should get a pretty graph that looks like that. Unless you're Abby, right? All right. So let's find this max right here. How do we find the max? So second calc function, which is your trace, right? And we want to find maximum, so hit 4. And then it's got it on, it says left bound, but it's over here on the right. So you have to move your cursor till it's to the left of the max. Hit enter. Take your cursor and move it to the right of the max. Hit enter. And then guess, hit enter again. So, well, we knew it was 8 though, right? Because, yeah, so that's not our y-intercept, but that's our 8 because that's what we graphed over here, is it not? Isn't that what we graphed here as our high point, right? So it doesn't surprise us. So since, and the reason why I brought that up is what if we hadn't done what we did before? You'd have to do this. If this is 8 from here to here, what's halfway? 4. So doesn't that mean that the 0 line, because the 0 of this graph is right in the center? Okay? And so that means that it's been, the 0 line is normally down here, so it's been moved up 4. So, and plus we see that here. It's important when you're trying to find, I guess in here we didn't really have to find the equation, did we? All right, so let's find our max is, I guess it is for our amplitude. I knew there was a reason until Abby interrupted me. Sorry. There was a reason why I went through all that. All right, so if I know that this total distance is 8 and half of that distance is 4, that's where I get my amplitude. But plus, couldn't I have seen it here? Okay, so whether I'm looking at a graph or at the equation itself, I can find my amplitude. Then the other thing that they want is a period. Has the period been changed? What's in front of x? Nothing. Nothing. So what's the normal period? 2 pi. And then they want x-intercepts, only between negative pi, 2 pi, and 2 pi. So before we do that, let's put in our vertical and our horizontal shifts. So our vertical shift was up 4, right? What's our horizontal shift? Because plus pi over 4 is inside parentheses, it's left pi over 4. Then our key points are going to help us with our zeros, right? Because if I try to do my zeros on here, isn't it going to give me a decimal equivalency? Right? So I need to find out how far to the left is my 2 pi. Well, there's a lot of graph to the left, isn't there? So I have a lot of zeros between, how many zeros do I have between negative 2 pi and 2 pi? Yep.
So with the horizontal part, does that mean that the y-intercept was 8, then that means the left pi over 4?
The y-intercept was at...
If the y-intercept was...
Oh, originally?
Yeah.
If it hadn't been moved?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would be,
yes.
Okay.
If it hadn't been moved.
If it had, yeah.
Correct. Okay. So let's find our... what's an easy way that I can find these intercepts? The x-intercepts. I could go, well, if I want the decimal equivalency, which I suppose if I'm letting you use your calculator, I'll let you do that. So go to second function, calculate, and find zeros too. But the problem is, what is the equivalent, what's the decimal equivalency of negative 2 pi? Negative 6.28, right? So I need to make sure that my x, watch your x value down here, I'm going to go all the way until that becomes negative 6. There's 4, 5. I passed it, didn't I? So wouldn't negative 6.28 be somewhere between here and here? So I need to get this 0 down here, right? So let's go to left bound, hit enter, go to your right bound, hit enter, and then guess.
Wait, left bound has to be above.
Well, the left bound has to be the left
Or doesn't it have to be past?
typically, but did it work on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. So at negative, so my zeros would be negative 3 point, we'll go out to 2 decimal places, negative 3.93. All right, so then I still have to keep going. So hit second calc again and hit 2. So we need to hit the other 0, making sure that my x doesn't go past 6.28, right? So it's certainly not going to do it there. So here's my my left bound, hit enter. Right bound, hit enter and guess. And that 0 is at 2.3 what? 6. And then these are x values, so really I should write them as ordered pairs. So my y value is 0. And then let's see, am I going to get another 0 on here? Hit your, oops, trace, go back to trace. So move your cursor. I'm looking at the x on my window. Did I go past it? So I'm past my window where we're restricted to. So those are the only 2 zeros in the window. All right, then they want, those are my x-intercepts, then they want y-intercepts, right? So my y-intercepts, how am I going to find that really easily? Go to table. Yeah, go to your table. And what are you going to put in? 0. What do we get? 6.83. So 0, comma 6.83. And then last we want max and minimum points. So we already found our max. What was that? So on here, this was our max, right? Our relative max. What was that value? 8. So our maximum was, but it was 8 what? Let's go back and look at our x value. Well, it's really negative pi over 4, isn't it? But we don't know that on this one. So look at second calc again. Do max again. So hit enter. Right bound enter and guess. So what was our x value? Negative 0.79, right? Negative 0.79, comma 8. And then our minimum value, isn't it our 0? Our 2 zeros. So this right here, these would also be our minimum values right here. Both of those. And is this my only maximum value in that range? So if I hit trace, remember here's my lowest part of the range is at negative 6.28, and it didn't reach the max up here, right? And then if I move it all the way up here, here's a minimum. Here goes that max we just calculated. Here's that minimum. Look at the x value. Does it get up to 6.28? Ah, we did go further, right? So don't we have one more max to find? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we need to find this one up here. So second calc, 4. So our second max, left, and then right, and then guess. So write that ordered pair, negative or positive 5 point, what are you going to put? 5.50, comma 8. So that's it. So it's all stuff that you kind of knew before, right? All right, so I'm not going to show you my last example, only if I have time today. So that's enough for 4-5.